Welcome, everybody, to another episode, another show of Nez Nation Live. I'm your host, Professor Nez, and today we're going to be talking about what in the world has happened to one of the top parties in our American political system. What happened to the ideals, the values, the principles that they purported for decades and decades? And I'm going to play for you a video, as well as I'm going to talk about a couple of other things. You have to stick around. This is a video you're not going to want to miss. I promise you. We're going to talk about some things that even legacy media, even mainstream media is not discussing. But I want to play for you this video from Joe Rogan, who, if you don't know who Joe Rogan is, he's probably one of the most influential podcasters and media broadcasters in the game, if not the number one most influential. And this is a guy who voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. It doesn't get much more left than Bernie Sanders. I'm going to play this video, and then I want to talk about
over time. This is what we're seeing. So over time, you and I, who used to be on the left, are now like, where's the left? Where are you guys? You guys are so far away. I can't even see you. You're out of your mind. You're fucking chopping dicks off and giving little kids hormone blockers. You have no idea what the long-term consequences are. You're ignoring the health risks. You won't even talk about the health risks. You use things like gender affirming care. What are you saying? What are you saying when you're talking about children? Why are you just accepting this? Because it's a noble thing to blurt out, so everybody goes, you're on the right team. That's what it is. It's not like, oh my God, what are we doing to kids? It's not like, oh my God, what are we doing to San Francisco? It's not like, oh my God, why are we letting these violent criminals out of jail? It's like, oh my God, why are we defunding the fucking police? What are you doing? You can't say any of those things. If you say any of those things, you're a nut.
Pretty powerful stuff, wouldn't you say? I want to hear from you. What do you guys think of what Joe Rogan said? I can't think of a better summation. I can't think of a better, really synopsis of what's happening to one of the most popular political parties in American history. Now, you might be saying, hey, Nez, you're really starting to show your colors here. You're really starting to show that you're a right. No. I don't really care about right or left. There's extremism and there's, idiots on both sides. It doesn't really matter to me. I love my country. I love the Constitution. I love the founding documents. I love the principles and values that this country was founded on. And I would say a lot of you might not believe this, but I have voted left before. I didn't go Bernie Sanders like Joe Rogan did, but I have voted left before. But really, I think what I would identify myself more as is somebody who is, I don't know if you call that a centrist or an independent. I'm really just for pragmatism. I'm really somebody who just cares about policies that make sense, regulations, government identification of what their role is, that just makes practical sense and follows the Constitution. That's all I really care about. But Joe Rogan here is somebody who I think is emblematic of most people in the left Democratic or at least how they would identify themselves as the left Democratic. These people are waking up and they're smelling the coffee. They're sick and tired of these people coming after their kids, talking about, transsexual, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter more than they are about America and traditional values, trying to indoctrinate our universities like Claudine Gay and her clan with their own propaganda, their own agenda, DEI, which is a failed, miserable, racist ideology, defunding the police, which makes absolutely no sense. You don't have law and order. This goes back to Aristotle. You don't have law and order, you have chaos. Not allowing police officers to do their job. We're seeing an increase in crime. We're seeing cities like Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Portland. I can go listing off thousands of other cities that are completely being decimated and completely vandalized with crime and other things that are just deplorable. It's really, really interesting to hear what's happening with this party and why so many people, I think, are starting to realize, like Joe Rogan, again, this is a guy who voted for Bernie Sanders. I mean, the only other person who's more left than Bernie Sanders is Vladimir Lenin. That's the only other guy. This is a guy who's not voting for Joe Biden in the next election. Is he happy with Trump? Does he think that Trump makes sense and Trump, says things that are insightful and non-vindictive and non-narcissistic? Of course not. I don't think he does. But I think this is something that is starting to happen more and more in our country, is you're starting to see people start to wake up and smell the roses and say, hey, I don't want you coming after my children. Reverse racism doesn't work. Defunding the police doesn't work. Raising taxes, sending billions of dollars to foreign proxy wars does not help me out at the grocery store, does not help me out when I need to pay my gas bill. People are starting to wake up. What has happened to the left? I mean, you heard what Rogan said. Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? I don't even know who you are anymore. You're just saying things just so you can be a part of the team. They're just talking points so that you can say, boom, ba, sisk, ra, I'm a part of the liberal team. I'm a part of the left team. But you don't really believe in these policies. It's the same thing with Gavin Newsom. You don't believe in helping the homeless. You don't care about marginalized people at all in your $23 million mansion. You don't want to save lives when we're experiencing the biggest pandemic in American history next to the Spanish flu, while you're, taking off your mask and creating your own basically double standard when you're out at restaurants and you're telling other restaurants to close down, you're telling small businesses to close down. This is a facade. This is something that we need to think about. This is something that we need to talk about, that we need to discuss. This needs to come to light. You're not going to see this on NBC. You're not going to see this on CBS. You're not going to see this on CNN. The whole aim of my channel is not to be, look at me, vote for this person, I'm more on this side or that side. I am for practicality. I'm for objective reality, constitutional merit, a meritocracy, what this country was founded on. That's all I care about. And so it's really, really interesting. And notice what's happening now, which leads to the next item that I want to talk about. And I want to hear from you. Again, I respond to all the comments personally. I want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about what Joe Rogan said? Is the left, aka Democratic Party, aka liberals, are they losing their way? Or is this how they always were? I don't know. You tell me, let me know in the comments. Believe me, I've got a lot of problems with the right as well. I've got a ton of problems. So I don't want you to think I'm just one-sided here. I got a ton of problems with the right as well. I think what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth 99% of the time is absolute garbage. But I care about policy. I care about results. I think results speak louder than words. It's very difficult for somebody like me who studies, the semantics of language, the principles of rhetoric that have been handed down to us through the past 2,000 plus years, somebody who understands audience psychology, who understands propagandists and their persuasion, their purpose. It's very difficult for me to take any politician for their word or, when they're out there grandstanding or campaigning, et cetera, et cetera. I did mention in other videos that vibes are something that the only reason I mention vibes is I truly believe there's two mindsets when I am critiquing an individual, organization, etc. I go by results. I go by your actions dictating most. I go by your past track record. I go by what you stand for and what is actually been revealed. What are the outcomes of these policies, ideas, etc., mission statements, purpose, whatever. And then I do think it's served me my entire life. I do think intuition. I do think getting a feeling. I don't discount feeling. I don't discount vibes. I don't discount reading people based on a gut feeling. I really don't. It's served me immensely well throughout the years. I've really been able to ascertain. I don't know if you could call that. Is there if it's a measurable variable or if it's something that holds clout in any sort of statistical, quantitative, qualitative research way, but it works and it makes sense and it's real, and more importantly than anything, it's human. It's very human. You think JFK won on his policies alone? No, it was a popularity contest. He was the quarterback, the good-looking prom king. even though Nixon probably had way better policy, way better foreign policy ideas, a better maybe vision of America moving forward. We all found out about Richard Nixon, and that's not the point. The point is that, yes, there is something to the intangible. I don't discount the intangible. But now, guess what the left is doing now? Now, and I say the left because there's no other way of putting it, some of these legacy media corporations are totally aligned with leftist propaganda. And I truly believe the Obama coalition, if you will, had something to do with this. They're bringing back their little golden boy, Mr. I don't even really think I could call him a comedian. I never really thought he was funny. Mr. Clever. I would call him Mr. Clever. Mr. Clever, Jon Stewart, is coming back to host The Daily Show. Somebody who is so overhyped. Somebody who it's overrated with a capital O. I think this guy is the least talented, the most propagandical, and the most... I think he's very, very adept at following a very certain type of ideology and conveying that with considerable aplomb. And I don't think he's funny. I don't think he's talented. I just think he's good at what he does, which is convey a propaganda in a humorous, clever way. There's a big chasm. I almost, humor isn't really the right word. It's clever. But there's a big chasm between clever and intelligent. Just because one is eloquent does not mean, eloquence is not synonymous with intelligence. And so people think that Jon Stewart's so intelligent. By the way, his show on Apple, The Problem, or whatever the hell it's called, was canceled. And he cited something like creative differences. I've parted ways with Apple. Creative differences. No, nobody watched your show. You're just not as talented as you think you are. Yeah, you struck a nerve 30, 40 years ago with unbeknownst Gen Xers and boomers, but you're not as talented as you think you are, Mr. Stewart. And now they're bringing old crusty Mr. Stewart back from the grave, essentially, to host The Daily Show on Comedy Central, God knows where. Does anybody watch network television anymore? Isn't everything streaming now? Isn't everything YouTube? Isn't everything Netflix, Prime Video, etc., etc.? Does anybody watch network cable TV anymore? I know I don't. I cut the cord back in 2015. They're bringing their golden boy back during an election season, no less. And I am going to make a prediction now. This show is going to fail miserably because of what Joe Rogan said and because of what I think Joe Rogan is a symbol of most left-leaning American citizens in this country today who are fed up with the BS. They're fed up of these guys coming after our kids. They're fed up of DEI ideologies infecting and parasitic ideas infecting airlines, business, corporations, higher education, etc., etc. They're sick and tired of defund the police. They're sick and tired of supporting a terrorist group, aka Black Lives Matter. They're sick and tired of all of the hypocrisy. They're sick and tired of it. My prediction for Jon Stewart coming back to The Daily Show, good luck, pal. I would have tested it on YouTube first. I would have tested it on Rumble or something like that first, because it ain't going to happen. It's going to fail miserably because you're overhyped, you're overrated, not talented, not funny, you're not intelligent, you're clever. That's the only thing you got going for you. You are clever. Period. Squadoosh. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. It's going to fail miserably. I wouldn't be surprised if that show got canceled within the first 6 to 8 weeks. I really wouldn't. Mark my words. You heard it here first. And I want to hear from you. What do you think of this? What are your thoughts on what I think is probably one of the most powerful, I don't know how long that video was, 55 seconds. Most powerful 55 seconds of summing up and wrapping up what is happening to this party that used to actually stand for something, that used to actually believe in equality, diversity, inclusion, that actually used to believe in freedoms and choices and the freedom to choose what you want and how you and actually helping people. Now it has turned into the party of power mongering, narcissistic, solipsistic, self-absorbed, entitled heathens. Well, Professor Nez, you just described Donald Trump to a T. Yeah, but you know what I like about Trump? At least he doesn't beat around the bush. He's up front. These guys are so clandestine, and they hide behind their, oh, no, we care, and oh, no, we believe everybody deserves equity. Oh, you do? You want to build low-income housing in my neighborhood? Why don't you build it in your neighborhood, Kamala? Why don't you build it in your neighborhood, Gavin? It's not going to happen. You're never going to see that. Hey, Bill, Hillary, why don't you build those low-income housing projects and 300 apartment buildings and housing? Why don't you house the homeless in one of your, rooms of one of your 250 mansion rooms in Nantucket or Dana Point? Huh? Why don't you do that? Why don't you house the migrants? House the immigrants? Why don't you do that? You're not going to see that. That's never going to happen because the hypocrisy is choking us as American citizens. But they won't talk about this on NBC. They won't talk about this on CBS or ABC or CNN. They'll never talk about this. They won't even talk about this really on Fox. That's why this is my mission. That's why this is my purpose. I want to hear from you. What do you think of this? Am I crazy? Nez, you're completely wrong. Talk to me. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you. As always, I really, really appreciate you guys being here. Make sure in the pinned comment that you actually go subscribe to our free newsletter. This is going to be your sure-proof way of never missing out on a new breakthrough, a new video, live stream, anything that we have that is powerful educational content that we create at Nez Nation Live. I want to hear from you. Please leave a comment, and I don't want you to miss out on anything. So go sign up for that free newsletter down below. I want to hear from you. I respond to all the comments personally. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I want to make the best videos possible. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for responding to my last question, which was, do you want to see longer format, shorter format? I think I'm going to mix it up. But I can't wait. If you have anything to add to that, hey, Nez, I think it'd be cool to see longer stuff. I like shorter stuff. Let me know in the comments if you haven't participated yet, or if you have more thoughts on this. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you check out these videos right here. Subscribe down there. Go in the pinned comment. I love you, and I'll see you soon.